Hi there, my name is Tony, and I'm here to teach you how to edit a photo. So before we start, two important things to remember is that you need a high quality photo and you need a good software to edit the photo. For a photo, you'd want one that is high in resolution. So what is resolution? Resolution is basically the number of pixels that a photo has. And the higher the pixels, the higher the resolution. So we have a photo that is high in pixels, so it's high in resolution. Next is to have a good software to edit the photo. One software that most professional photographers use is Adobe Lightroom, and that's what I have here ready for you today. This software has everything you'd ever need for editing any type of photo. So then, yes, once you have your photo, once you have your software, you're ready to begin. Then one thing to start out to do is to look at your photo and to map out what's in the photo, right? And the three things that I like to look for are the foreground, the midground, and the background. Looking at this photo, I would say that the foreground is this large tree trunk here off to the left, the grass in the front, and maybe the step stool going down. In the midground, I would classify that as the boat and the dock and the kayaks off to the right here. And the background, I would say, is probably the water far in the background and the small trees that you can see in the back. And that's pretty basic stuff, and we're only editing this photo on a basic level. So after you've mapped out your photo, now you can begin to go through the three major parts of photo editing. What are those, you may ask? Those are light, as you can see off to the right here, color, and effects. These are the big three on what I like to use when I edit my photos. So we'll start with light. As I can see that the photo, it seems to be in the shade in the foreground. And what was the foreground in this photo? This was the big tree on the left and the grass and the stair stool on the bottom. So I will bump up the exposure. The exposure is basically like brightness. So I'll use the slider and I'll go back and forth. And that's what I'll do for all of the settings. I will go and toggle it back and forth and see how I like it. The biggest thing with editing photos is that it's trial and error. So I will just bump it up quite a little, just a little bit there, and then move on. And of course, if I need to change things later, I absolutely can. In my photos, I like to put a little bit less contrast. I like to let the things blend in together. Plus, it also helps the color pop a little bit. And as you can see in this photo, if you keep your eyes towards the foreground here and the bottom, the greens start to come out more in the photo. So I like to keep it like that. Moving on, I'll just continue toggling stuff back and forth and seeing what I like. And when I move the highlights here, I see if I move it down, the blue in the sky comes out more. So I'll edit it that way. And the shadows, again, I like to see more color. So I'll bring up the shadow number, which actually counterintuitively brings away the shadow from the photo. I know it's confusing. And whites and blacks, I don't usually touch too much because the shadows above does most of the work. Now, every photographer has their own style of editing. I like to have a warm and dreamy look to most of my photos. So the warm part comes from the temperature here, the temp, right? And I like to put up just the temperature just a little because this is a pretty sensitive feature here. So I only put it up like 4 or 5 or 6 or so. Tint, vibrance, and saturation, I don't usually touch unless the photo looks pretty bleak. And this photo is already pretty colorful, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. And the last thing is effects. I like to have, again, a dreamy look to my photos, which means to make it look a little bit softer. So I'll bring down the texture, soften it up a little bit, and especially bring down the clarity as well. And when you see the clarity makes quite a big difference. If you zoom in and look maybe the midground here, you can see the boat. You can bring down the clarity and it looks kind of like the boat's fading away a little bit. And that's that dreamy look that I'm going for in my photos. Dehaze, vignette, and grain, I don't usually touch too much unless I really want to make something look a bit more cinematic. But where this photo is personally on my level what I'd like to see in a photo. And I hope that when you edit your photos, you come to a level where you can say, yeah, you know what, I'm proud of that photo. I would have loved to do this demonstration in person or live. And since we're here online, please feel free to ask me any questions at all. And yep, happy editing.